Hello and welcome to the pascom training series. The topic of today's tutorial is, well, we love them, faxing. Believe it or not.
Love and hate.
Yeah, love and hate at the same time. It's like Marmite. Believe it or not, fax is still used very often in many companies across the planet, particularly here in Germany, but I also, here in UK, it's also a very loved machine. But if you want to get rid of your machines,
At least of the machines, not of the fax itself.
the machines,
it will not work easy.
No,
but
yeah, you can get rid of your machines and actually switch to pascom and our integrated virtual fax server. So Matthias, kick us off. What do we need to know?
First, you need to know you could use your old fax machines if you want.
You could, yes. You could use an ATA adapter.
ATA adapter. We have a lot of tutorials for that. You can do it. But to save maintenance costs and headache with fax machines and running out of paper and whatnot.
Yeah, and also the constant trips to the fax machine.
Yes. They are healthy.
They are healthy because you get up and walk around.
Yes.
But then they're not so productive because you stand at the fax machine talking.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
it's great for the social aspect of the office life. But no.
So,
anyway,
but
so there are pros and cons to both. Keep one, get rid of the rest.
Yes.
Anyway, so what else do we need to know?
You need to configure it, but it's easy.
Okay, so take it away.
Yes. So first thing you have to configure is appliance services. And there is fax server. It's pre-configured somehow, but I want to explain what you can change and what not and why and what else you can do. You have the first two lines. This is the number of fax lines and the number of fax lines you want to use for outbound.
Okay.
And both you have to understand, and both I think we have to explain.
Right, okay.
So the first misunderstanding is that you think if you have 10 people working there and 10 people need fax machines, you need 10 fax lines.
It's not really the case because not everybody's faxing all the time.
Yes.
So you could, in theory, have 10 people and get away with 2 lines.
Yeah. So it has nothing to do with how many virtual fax machines you can create.
But how many you can send.
How many you can send
at the same time.
At once.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is what you have to understand. And don't do too much here. I think if you have 8 employees or something and you're rarely faxing, then use 2 lines. That's completely fine.
But if you're one of those companies that does serial faxing,
Yes,
then
yes.
perhaps you need a bit more. But bear in mind that everyone you start has a virtual modem and therefore requires more resources.
We fork a process for it, that we can do this, and every process is a fax, no, not a fax machine, but a modem, and receives the faxes.
Okay.
So be careful with large numbers here.
So the second part about the inbound lines or whatever, reservations, what's that all about?
The problem is that there are still companies that fax a lot and they create jobs for outbound faxes.
Yeah.
For instance, they fax something and do kind of order requests for multiple suppliers. Okay. And then they create them, they send them out, and let's say that 20 requests or something.
So 20 faxes going out, and if you've got no lines reserved, you
get no faxes in this time while you're sending them.
So so you can't actually receive a fax at that point. All right, that makes then good sense that you always have 1 or 2 reserved, depending on how much you fax, to make sure that it's working in both directions.
Yes.
Okay, good.
So that's that. Then there is a fax caption. This has nothing to do with the number we are transmitting. So if you are calling me, then I see your number or your Teams number or whatever. Same goes for fax machines. There is a number which we provide on the network. But you can have a fax caption, and this could be a name or something. That's mostly in the header of a fax. You can see there from company, blah, blah, blah. And this can be the phone number or the name or a combination.
Sort of an identifier for this particular fax.
Yes.
Okay. So in this case, it's taken Bootcamp, which is our instance name. So company name is a good one.
Company name is a good one, and we do this automatically. If we set up, we make those defaults to 1 and Bootcamp, so the name of the instance you've chosen.
Okay.
Mail to fax, this is something we can do. We can, you create a email account, and we fetch this email account, and every email you send to that account, we will fax.
Okay.
So, sounds complicated. It is a little bit weird because you create then something like fax at my company, then I send an email to fax at my company, and in the subject line, I have the destination number for the fax. So this is how it works. And then I can choose, I want to fax the content of the email.
Okay.
Or the attached PDF file.
Okay, so
both.
this could work in a scenario where, for example, you send lots of faxes. It's very comfortable. You're just using your email client.
Yes.
So that doesn't touch, for example, the desktop client at all.
At all, and you don't have to install something, or you don't have to know how you create the PDF file or something. So you just can write this. In Germany, it's often used by doctors because they order their medicine with fax normally, and then they could do it very easily, and they need this and that, and then they just send an email and it will be converted to fax.
But as you said, it's a little bit more complicated to set up. So, okay, fair enough. So it's not for everybody, but it is for some people.
Yes.
Good.
And then there is some easy settings. How long do we store the documents? So we send them via email, and we store them additionally on the server. If the email server does not work, or if the destination does not receive emails, then you have a backup on the server. You can also resend, but only for the time range of 30 days or whatever you want to keep them on the server. And to do a good housekeeping, we throw them away.
Yeah, and to be fair, it sort of makes sense because of the fact that we send them via email anyway. You have a record there if it's a successful send. So it doesn't really make much difference once they're deleted.
So our default is 30 days.
Good.
And for sure there is attempts. This is how many attempts do I have until I give up the send fax.
Right.
3.
Okay.
It's a magic number always, so 3 is also good.
So
here.
What's the next thing that we need to know?
The next thing, if you have configured your fax server itself, then you have to create virtual faxes for your employees or for your team. So you can go to the team and create a virtual fax machine, or you can go to a user and create a virtual fax machine.
Okay.
I will show you how this works. So here is users, and I just go to the user list. I'm logged in as Andy, and I can edit this fax devices, and I can say, hey, I want a fax device. Then here I provide the email address. The email address is used for 2 reasons. One is I receive a fax to this extension. Then it will be converted to a PDF and sent via email to me. This is the one. If I send a fax, then I get all the fax notifications. So was it successful?
Of course, So definitely, that's quite useful to use there. And then, as you said, you could do the same for a team. So if you have, for example, a support team or a logistics team, for example, that could be a good example, sending lots of faxes. It's just rather than being per user, you have it for the team.
Yes, but if you want to send a fax, you always need to have a personal fax. So a good combination is, or often used combination is, everybody has his personal fax. And if you send a fax, then you can have an own fax caption. And it's not your personal fax caption, it's from your team.
Gotcha.
And you can make an outbound rule also for that. If you don't know what outbound rules are, have a look at trunking. And then we send this number of the central fax machine, and then if you fax back.
Okay.
Then
good. Well, that's a lot of theory. So should we have a look at the practice?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Well, we're done already. So just the email address, the extension, and maybe I want to overwrite the caption. Save. I do the same for somebody else because I can even send internal faxes. Then don't do this. Don't do this.
There are many better options than this, but for testing purposes, this is
okay.
ideal. Yeah.
So I can send one fax from Andy to Stephanie, and from 301 extensions to 302 extensions.
Sounds good.
So that's it, and that's all I have to do. Don't forget to apply the telephony. And that's it. Now, receiving a fax is now ready.
Okay.
So somebody sends this fax to this extension. I can do an inbound mapping for it, and I receive a PDF by email. Great. And
that's fairly straightforward, self-explanatory. There's not really much you have to do here.
And this is what many people use. So for inbound, using only our fax server is very, very easy.
Okay.
And you could do also the combination that you have for outbound, you have the fax machine, because they love how they can scan paper.
Yeah.
Yes, they do. And so you can have this, and if you send out faxes, it could be the number of your centralized fax machine, which you're transmitting, and then everybody can answer.
But the question is then, what about outbound? If I'm actually sending a fax, what do I need to do?
This is more complicated. No, it's not more complicated, but you have to learn it.
Okay.
So there are several steps you can take, and you can have several levels of comfort.
Okay.
So let's see.
Let's have a look. Come on.
So a typical start for a fax is a word. This is a German version, so don't be
sorry
confused.
about that, but yeah.
This is my fax for you. That's good. Hopefully this is an English sentence.
It looks good.
Yeah, okay. Then I say save as. Then I choose the folder, which is my desktop, and I want to have it as a PDF. Save. So that's how I create it. Then I go here to my pascom client, and then I can click, if I have a fax machine assigned, I can send a fax here. I have to choose the PDF, so from my desktop, this is my fax for you, open. Then a dialog appears where I can change the notification email on the fly if I want, just for this particular fax.
Okay.
A job name, a file name, and now I can enter a fax number like this one, send. This is the first thing I can do. The second thing is I go to my phone book, to my company phone book, and this guy has a fax. So I can just click on it. It could be for sure also an external user, not only internal. So a contact. I click here, I say desktop, this is my fax, open. Then there is the very same dialog, but it's pre-filled with.
The fields are all populated for you with the
Yes.
right number. Okay. That's really straightforward and actually very comfortable. But you mentioned before that there are levels of more comfort that we could implement.
Yes, even more.
Even more comfort. I assume that means a level of automation.
Yes, automation.
Yeah.
So you could ask, what could you automate? You save the PDF, you grab it, you send it.
Yeah.
But there are still people, or for some people, it's hard to find your files again in the file system.
Yeah, it depends on how big your file system actually is.
Yes,
And how organized you are.
How skilled
Yeah.
the people are, and what's their focus in the company,
Yeah.
and how often do they use the computer, and how often they have to fax. Or if you fax very often, it really saves you time because you don't have to do this.
Okay, so how does it look? What do we need to do?
We go to our options and we have PDF to fax settings. And what we can do is we can monitor a folder. I've chosen User Studio Documents Fax. I can change this. I can cancel it and not monitor a folder. And if I put the PDF to this folder, we will send it automatically. Not send it, but we ask you where to send it. So how does this work? I go back to my document, say again, save as. Now I choose not my desktop, but I choose this special folder I created. And for sure I say it's PDF. Save it. What now happens here is that this dialog opens automatically with the fax attached. And I can just send it to whatever destination I want.
That's nice and easy.
That's easy. You just have to remember the folder where you have to store them. But if you use it very often, and it's under your favorite or recent used folders, and then you can do this very easily, and you save one step.
Okay, so that's like level 1 of automation.
Yes.
I noticed underneath in the client settings there was automatic sending.
A level 2.
A level 2. What is level 2 then?
Level 2 is, we go back here, we can say automatic sending. So this is the full auto mode. And all we need for that is a Ghost script. You can install it from ghostscript.com and just say where it is, or you have even a scan button.
Yeah, that's very
find
useful.
it.
Like while we
Yes.
were doing the setup for all this, this is how well thought out the system is. You didn't even know about it,
Yeah,
and
no.
my colleague Andy was sitting there going, "Just press scan now."
And it finds it. Here you can have a delay. This is how much time do you have if you use automatic mode to interrupt the job.
Okay, I think the default is 60. For
Yeah,
demo purposes,
yeah.
we put it down to 10, so
We
it
have
doesn't
not
take.
so much time to wait 60 seconds.
Yeah, okay. I'm not sure what would fill the gap with.
So-
Anyway, so what does it look like now?
That's it. And then you can use these tags in the document to send information to our fax server, like the fax number for sure, a tag if you want to place the order number or something in there, or you can even change the notification email address.
Okay.
And that's very handy because you could then have fax to your suppliers. Maybe you ask for a price or something.
Yeah.
And then you can add as notification email fax at my company or purchase at my company or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it stores all the fax notifications and which fax was sent to which supplier in this one email account. Could be very handy.
Very useful.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's what you can do. Let's show how it works. I need this to know these add commands. So somewhere in the document, in the header or whatever.
Wherever it's convenient and not in the
Yes.
way.
You say fax and 302 like this, and then I do the very same, save as, and PDF and my fax directory and save. What it does now, automatically it fetches the job, and now you can see that it sends it automatically to 302 in 5, 4, 3. I can cancel it now.
Yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah.
But
so it's gone.
now it's gone.
Yeah.
That's fast and easy. And if you deal with suppliers very often where you have only the fax way, which is very common nowadays. Why
we don't know. I mean, obviously we want to make everything as convenient as possible, and because fax is still used, we make it as simple as possible for everybody to use. And it surprises us every time that somebody says your fax system is great, because we sit there and go, actually, we don't use fax really that much ourselves, but obviously a lot of you guys do. So
yes, we ask our partners on the last partner summit, what are the killer features? And then they said, they said really, yes, you see, blah, blah.
Mobile app.
And then there was silence. And then one said,
fax.
The fax server. And then everybody said, we did not want to say it, but yes, it's a killer feature.
Yeah.
So we can do it.
It's one of the taboo subjects of business communication. Yes, we still fax. Anyway, good. Now, that's very simple and it looks good and very easy, but what does it look like for a person?
Yes, we can have a look at the email. This depends on the language you have set up on your system. So mine is German, so this is that I received the fax. Here is the fax attached. This is how it looks like. And yeah.
Nice and easy.
That's it.
And obviously that's the recipient fax. Obviously, as the sender, I would also receive something similar saying it's been sent successfully and so on.
But always the fax including.
Yeah.
So it says it was successfully, blah, blah, blah. And then the PDF is also attached as a sender.
Okay.
And then I can see, this fax was not able to send.
So I still have a copy of it.
Identify it very easy.
Yeah, okay, good. And for those of you who are worried that the fax looks broken or whatever in the PDF, it's not actually. It's just that we trim it to what's actually the content.
Yes.
But if you print it out, then it looks proper.
Yes.
Yeah, good. Right, that is it to the topic of faxing. Thanks very much for watching. Until next time, goodbye.
Bye.